So it is May 1st around just about 9 o'clock at night. This is Jessica. Jessica has EDS along with POTS and fibromyalgia. She's been dealing with this since about and a heart block. She's been dealing with this since about 2013. 2010.
2010, really, the migraines started.
So today, was not really an overly taxing day for you. It was.
I put myself in pain this morning. To an episode, really.
So tonight I came in. I've been working on the car, and Jess was sitting here, and she started complaining that it was difficult to breathe. She felt bradycardic, which she was. I checked her pulse. She was at about 43 beats a minute.
And I'm still walking, talking, and functioning at that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to some doctors.
And she gets substernal chest pain. It's non-cardiac most of the time, but because of the POTS and the small fiber neuropathy, who knows? Plus, she gets chest pain with a first-degree heart block, which most cardiologists will tell you is impossible. Well, not every patient is a textbook doc.
And my doctors will all agree that there's no doubt that I do actually get chest pain with that heart block, because it's proven in my 6 months, 150 days, whatever, I've worn a Holter monitor in my life. Legitimately, Holters add up to about 6 or 7 months of my life at this point.
So she's wiped, and she will be wiped for the rest of the night. And if we're lucky, tomorrow, well, it's a crapshoot what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah, because this is really like the 3rd episode today.
So my guess is tomorrow, based on experience, she's not going to be really doing a whole lot.
And Tommy's service dog is worried about me, so Tommy's service dog is trying to do what he does for Tommy.
Right. And Scout's doing what Scout does. He is actually, believe it or not,
working.
He's working. He looks like he's sleeping, but believe it or not, he is actually working, because he will stay right there until he feels she's better. Not until I tell him, until he feels.
It's not an emotional thing. He does sense my cardiac changes, my pulse. When I go real high, he will alert very loud. If I'm like this morning, I yelled for Tommy, and at the same time, Scout absolutely started losing his mind, baying.
Yep.
Scout was probably 15 feet out of reach of me on his chain.
Yep.
And I decided to pop up the pop-up tent by myself. And I got a little out of...
Understand, she was outside for maybe 5 minutes.
We have a pop-up, like...
Easy up
tent. And this is the last part, just all of a sudden, the lactic acid that was in, like, my arms felt like it went to my chest. And just all of a sudden exploded from this point, which I usually get my substernal chest pain, and I was literally holding onto a tent pole. I was yelling for Tommy, and Scout flipping out too at the same time as the signal for Tommy that something's definitely wrong. Yep. And it's not just me hollering for him,
Yeah. He doesn't get riled up about me too much. But if he senses something's wrong with Mom, he will. And he will make all the noise in the world until I pay attention to what's going on.
And Tommy had Scout get up here with me, because Scout was asleep on the floor, so Scout didn't, Tommy was in here, and Scout, Scout's like, oh, I'm off duty, so Tommy had to make him get up here, but once he did, Scout did what he was supposed to. He laid next to me, put his head in my hands, and it makes me instinctually
start to relax.
Well, that, and it makes me do this, which is, squeezing my hands is one of those things that the doctors tells me will help bring me out of that really Brady place. But sometimes I just can't. I can't focus enough to even feel like I can do that. But I can sit here and do this with him, because it's going to sound weird, but his fur is a sensory thing. Like, it's not one of those things that irritates my skin. It's not. So I can sit here and do this with him, and it will actually help me. It will help calm me, but it will also help bring me out of that more physical anxiety place. Help bring my pulse up at the same time. It will help calm me if my body's going into that severe fight or flight where it's going to start to cause a panic attack. Now, I'm pretty well rational, and I don't generally just get panic attacks. It's the physicality of a panic attack. When you start to struggle to breathe in your Brady, for me, it causes a deep-seated chest pressure that literally makes, I could take a nice deep breath in, and it will instantly be like deflating a balloon, which causes me not to really be getting oxygen, which causes a whole other, blood issues. So this is tonight. Well, this is me. I mean,
this is not a rare occurrence.
This is not a rare occurrence. This is often way more than I'd like. And it's very different than even 5 years ago when Tommy and I started dating. Almost 6 years ago now. 5.5 years ago. And I was firefighting, climbing 75-foot aerial ladders straight up. When I was actually, starting to have symptoms a few months after that got really severe. And may have actually been exacerbated by a specific fire, not in that I was exposed to something. But I do think it may have set off a secondary trigger for something. Because from that point on, that fire, it was shortly after that I started having lots of episodes. This particular fire, it wasn't hot outside. It was January in New England. I came out to refresh an air tank, and it was at this point that I was standing in front of our assistant chief, and I basically collapsed to my knees, and him and another chief basically grabbed me and were like, oh, no, stand back up, like, you go that way, away from fire building now, you don't come back. And it was for a better part of 3 hours that my heart rate screamed at over, I would say, 150 beats per minute. I was dying. Like, I couldn't, at one point I got out of the ambulance that we were doing recovery in and went and sat in one of the on the front end of one of the pump operators' trucks. It was there because I was afraid I was going to pass out in the back of the ambulance with nobody there. Yeah, it was about 3 months after that I said, nope, I can't risk the crew. I can't risk other people's lives over my pride of being able to do the job. I knew I could do the job. I did the job. You know. But if there was one thing I was taught, everybody goes home. Alright, you talk.
I think you've covered everything. So this is our normal. This is what we deal with
all the time.
Yeah, every day. Some days worse than others.
And I have gone from local doctors to the best in the state, to the best in New England, to...
We're now in Tennessee.
Pretty much some of the best on the East Coast at this point. I see specialists in the autonomic disorders group at Vanderbilt now. And unfortunately for me, my doc says I have what he has deemed, unofficially low pulse POTS. It's where you get all the clot symptoms below those traditional thresholds of, over 100 beats per minute is where you're, getting... Oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. Where I get all those POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome symptoms. And my EDS plays big roles because my EDS is likely what causes my POTS. We are not so far as to have that final, the why of the POTS specifically. They haven't been able to say for sure if the EDS is what it's from or vice versa, whatever. But EDS is caused by collagen mutation, which causes basically like stretchy blood vessels almost.
Stretchy everything.
Yeah. Depends on what version you have. There's 6 different types, and they all kind of go like this. So, I'm a zebra and a motherfucking unicorn. Have a good night, guys.